everybody. I don't know about you. I cannot believe that we're already in 2024. All I can sit here and think is when I was younger, people used to tell me all the time that every year seems to go by faster and faster. And quite frankly, it's true. Every year just seems to go by more quickly. Maybe because we're living so much life and so much crazy things have happened, particularly in the last couple of years. But man, I got to tell you, 2024, as crazy it is, we're here. I'm super excited about all the fun things that we have planned for the podcast. So that is why this first episode is going to be talking about what the new things are that we're going to be doing. We're going to be trying some fun stuff, and I really think you're going to enjoy it. So this is the first one. So the format's going to look a little different this year. First off, we're going to have both audio, and if you're a YouTube junkie, you're going to be able to catch some of the podcast episodes on YouTube. So I will have all the information in the show notes. So head on over and subscribe. So if you have a strong desire not only to hear my voice, but see me actually say the words, you can actually watch a video this year. So really excited. You'll find that I talk with my hands a lot. It's the Southern in me. I just can't break it. So again, if you're entertained by that kind of thing, head on over to YouTube, and you can even be watching this episode there if you so choose. But a couple other things I'm going to be doing some solo episodes this year, where if you follow my newsletter, which if you don't, I highly recommend you do, there's going to be links for that as well. Every week I send out what I think are thought-provoking topics and interests, and really trying to challenge us to think differently and be just pretty much kind to ourselves. I find the world sometimes can be a pretty unkind place, but also how do we show up as a better self? And so in my solo episodes, I'll be pulling from some of that material. So yay for you. So it'll be some of that, but some of the new stuff. Those will be shorter episodes, meant to be really deep thought and challenges. And sometimes you'll have some tips and tricks thrown in there. I'm going to start off with what I'm calling a kind of a leadership series. We're going to be talking about engagement in the first series of solo cast that I'm going to be doing. What is real engagement? If you're struggling with an engaged team, what does that mean? What can you do? Practical things you can do to have meaningful changes in the culture of your team. So I'm super stoked about that. So you're going to definitely not want to miss any of those episodes. And then in addition to solo episodes, I am going to be launching some panel topics. So we're going to be bringing back some voices that you heard last year, leaders who are just, they are just incredible, just masters and powerhouses of just who they are, how they show up, how they lead their teams, how they're changing the world around them. I want to bring them back and have some very practical conversations. So you're going to be seeing topics related to how to handle team resistance in a meaningful way, how to tackle leading a friend. So if you go from being peers to suddenly now either you are leading your friend or you're being led by a friend, what does that mean? How do those dynamics change? What are some things you need to think about, not just for your friend, but the rest of the people that are on your team? So again, wanting to create real, meaningful, practical information to help you show up as the leader you want to be. It's hard sometimes to get good information. It's hard to sometimes find people who have been in the same situations you're in. And hopefully that is something we can offer you in the content we're creating this year. So big excited about that. I'm in the process of getting those scheduled for recording. So as we get more information, I'll be teasing those out. But again, just super excited. I wish I would have had more content like this when I was in leadership positions. So in a sense, I'm creating the material I wish I would have had more of available to me in digestible components. I don't want you to feel like you have to read a super long book or that you have to sit through really long podcasts in order to get practical information to go and try. Like, listen, go and see if it works. Go chat, go see if it makes a difference. Because that's how you change, and that's how you become a better version of yourself, is by trying something different. If something is not working, you got to do something a little different. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. So that being said, I want to jump into the topic that I wanted to talk about with you today. So again, as an example of what our solo cast will look like. And if you got my newsletter, this is going to sound very familiar. But I'm always in awe of all of the messaging that comes out in a new year. And a lot of it's very inspirational around, what do you want to focus on, and how do you want to grow, and what are your goals? And, but I also feel like there's so much pressure heaped on at the beginning of the year. And there's also this mantra or this messaging of like new year, new you. That almost implies like you need to wipe some of yourself away in order to be successful. Like you need to be a new, shinier version of yourself. And I struggle with that a little bit because the truth of it is you've earned everything you've done. When I think about like, I've got wrinkles, I've got gray hair, every scar that's physical or emotional, everything that I've done has led me to be where I am. And if I wipe any of that away, then I'm taking away the experience of it. I'm pretending it didn't happen, which would be a shame. Not just the good stuff, but the bad stuff helps shape you into who you are. And that's how you become better. The bad stuff is part of saying, I've been there. I don't want to be there again. So why would I want to wipe that experience away? Why would I want to magically say that that's just not a part of who I am? So I just don't like that messaging, because I feel like it sets you up for the wrong mindset of you're not good enough. Like, oh, well, you'd be good enough if you were a new version of you. No, I think we need to reset that. You are good as you are today. Could we all be better? Yes. But that doesn't mean you have to remove anything about who you are today. You might need to focus on it. You might need to change a few things, but not wipe it away. You've earned every stripe. Accept it, applaud it, be proud of it. Even the things that you maybe aren't super proud of, be proud that you survived it, that you've come out the other side, and you can sit here and say, I lived through that. I learned from that. And here's who I want to be as a result of that. So if you find yourself kind of spiraling or feeling overwhelmed with all the messaging that is coming out, I would just encourage you to take a breath, just sit back a little bit and just say, okay, I've survived a lot in my life and I'm proud of myself. And mean that when you say that. You're proud of yourself. And it also is okay for me to say, there are some areas in my life I know I need to focus on. I'm not exactly where I want to be. And pick one, at most two. Don't go crazy. I feel like people just go nuts with like lists of things they want to do. Start small so that you can actually make progress towards a goal versus spreading yourself too thin or spreading your focus too thin. Start small and say, okay, this is why this is important for me to focus on. And then you go after that, right? And so because I don't like to put out a challenge that I'm not doing, or I'm not practicing myself, this is something I'm really working on for me as well, is, I've said this, if you follow me, I have said this before, I've admitted that I am an overthinker. I analyze things. I like breaking things down and viewing everything as a puzzle. And then how do I put it back together? And but what ends up happening in those moments is I will overthink, I will overcomplicate, um, I will stall. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Anybody? Just me? No, I doubt it. And what I am actively working on is stopping myself from overcomplicating things that don't need that level of scrutiny. Um, and so my focus is to try to catch myself more quickly when I am going down the path of really dissecting something that isn't hard, is to kind of stop myself, ask a quick question of like, what is my gut telling me? Is this a yes? Is it a no? Is it a hard maybe? The maybe then is probably something I need to think about. But if I have a instinctual feeling, why am I thinking about this so hard? Like, really just take it back a sec. Not berate myself, quite honestly, but allow myself to reset and say, okay, just breathe, take a deep breath. Don't overcomplicate it. And if I can actually start to catch myself sooner and implement a little bit of change, that would be a huge impact for me. It would have a significant effect on how I move through my day, how I interact with people. And again, that's not something you would even notice. You would never see it. It's something that's within me. So again, I want to encourage you. When you think about things, it doesn't have to be these monumental changes or focuses. It can be things that are very personal, things that matter to you. And it's not about wiping it clean. I'm never going to be a new Kim that's not an overthinker. Sorry, it's probably never going to happen. But what I can do is say, when it does go poorly for me, these are the things that I don't like about how I move through my day and how I move through the world. So how can I bring focus to myself so that I can have a better behavior patterns around that, right? So how do I not allow myself to stall? How do I not allow myself to make a mountain out of a molehill, if you will? So for me, that's one that I'm really focusing on. So what I encourage you to do is drop in some comments. I would love to hear from you. What would be your one focus? What is the one thing that no, you don't want to wipe away, but that you really would like to think about or be more aware of or see some change in yourself in the coming weeks and months? And then if I can support you, I'm happy to I'm here to cheerlead. I'm here to help you. So let me know how I can support you in the changes you want to make. And in the last bits of this wonderful first podcast of the year is I am super duper uber excited because next week will mark the 1-year anniversary of my book, We've All Done It. It was released. It'll be the 1-year anniversary next week. So I highly encourage you to sign up for my newsletter because I have some exciting anniversary surprises for people that are going to get announced there first. Yep. If I'm just saying, if you're on the list, you get the surprises first. So please join me in that. It is such a huge event for me, and I'm still a little bit, I still kind of can't believe that I did it, quite frankly. Even though it's a year later, it's still kind of surprising. I still sometimes have to catch myself. And when I say that I'm an author, it still feels a little bit like imposter syndrome. Again, something else that never goes away for anybody. I think everybody deals with that at some level in their life and in some capacity. And for me, that is mine. So with that, thank you for being here again this year. I can't wait to share all the wonderful content we have planned for you. So, yep, I'm going to say it third, fourth, I don't even know how many times. Sign up for the newsletter if you're not on it. And yeah, head over, check out YouTube. I don't know. I'm entertaining. I don't know. So I don't like watching myself, but I think some other people do. So if you're one of those, go for it. I'm waving my hands at you. But with that, I hope you're having a great start of the year. And here's to kicking off an outstanding 2024.